Hello dear students, welcome you all for Power System Operation and Control class. Continue with the interconnected AGC. So today we are going to see the tie line bias control. In the previous examples, you can see that only with a primary loop an increase load of and in any area is met by increase of generation in both areas, an associated change in the tie line power and a reduction in the frequency. So supplementary controls are provided to restore the balance between the generation and the load of each area and restore the frequency to a nominal value. In general, there are three modes which is used in interconnected operation. Those are, the first one is the flat frequency, where the control is to obtain constant frequency. When one of the system of a group of interconnected system respond to frequency changes only, it cannot have a control over the power flow in the interconnected tie lines. This is the first one. Okay, flat frequency, where the control is to obtain a constant frequency. When one of the system of a group of interconnected system respond to frequency changes only, it cannot have control over the power flow in the interconnected tie lines. The second one is when a system responds to tie line changes and changes its generation to maintain the scheduled tie line interchanges, it cannot respond to a frequency changes. This is called as the flat tie line mode. Coming to the third one, both of the above methods have disadvantages. So a combined control is used called frequency bias control. So the first one is flat frequency, second one is the flat tie line. Togetherly both we are using, that is called as the frequency bias control. So we have seen in an isolated system that addition of the integral controller stabilizes the frequency deviation to 0. In the same figure in the previous class we have seen two similar areas. Okay, so considering the area 1 is applying say 150 megawatt or to the area 2, assume that as increase in the load of 50 megawatt in area 2 occurs. With this primary control acting and identical characteristics, each area will increase its generation by 25 megawatt, because the changes take place is 50 megawatt, both are identical, so 25 megawatt in the both areas. And the tie line power increases to 175 megawatt because of the 150 megawatt was earlier, it was there, 25 megawatt extra generated in one area, that is 175 megawatt is increases. If now area 1 had an agreement to sell only 150 megawatt, then the production cost of 25 megawatt would be unbuilt. So the area 2 one don't want that additional 25 megawatt. In fact, this increase in generation occurred because of interconnection between the two systems. Therefore, the supplementary control action or supplementary control in a given area should be change the generation only for the changes in the load in the same control area. So to develop such control, we should note that the number one, if there is a decrease in frequency but net interchange power leaving the control area increases, the increase in load is outside the control area. The second one is, if there is a decrease in frequency and net interchange power leaving the control area also decreases, the increase in the load is in the same area. So we should note that these 2 points. So we can similarly have the same cases for increase in frequency. So we can arrive at a control scheme by noticing that delta P12 is equal to P12 minus P12 scheduled, where P12 is the actual power flow from area 1 to 2 and P12 scheduled is nothing but the scheduled interchange from the power from area 1 to 2. Okay, so with these notations, in the previous figure, that is two areas control we have seen, a control signal is made up of tie line flow deviation added to frequency deviation weighted by a bias factor can achieve a desired objective, restoring frequency to a nominal value and holding a tie line power flow at the scheduling value. The control signal is called as area control error, or which is commonly called as ACE. That is nothing but area control error, and it is defined as ACE1 is equal to delta P12 plus B1 delta omega, and ACE2 is equal to delta P2 1 plus B2 delta omega, where B1 and B2 are the bias factors and determine the amount of the interaction during the disturbance in the other area. It has been found that the most suitable bias factor for any area is its frequency response characteristics beta. Thus, ACE1 for the area controller for the first one is given by delta P12 plus beta 1 delta omega. ACE2 is equal to delta P21 plus beta 2 delta omega. So, beta 1 and beta 2 we are knowing already. Beta 1 is equal to what? D1 plus 1 over R1. Beta 2 is equal to D2 plus 1 over R2. Or we are having this tie line control action is given by, see, delta omega is minus, delta P12 is minus, then load changes, delta PL1 is plus, delta PL2 is 0. So control actions to be taken is increase in PG1. Delta omega is minus, delta PL2 is plus, that is plus means increases, minus means decreases. Okay, so load changes here is delta PL1 is no change, delta PL2 is increases, so increase in PG2 control action. So if in case of delta omega is plus, delta P2 is minus, then delta P1 is 0 and delta PL2 decreases, so control action is decreases PG2. And the last one, both are positive, that is delta omega is also positive, delta P12 is also positive, then delta PL1 is minus, that is decreases, and delta PL2 is 0, so decrease in PG1. Okay, so delta P1 and delta P12 and delta P21 are the deviation from the scheduled tie line interchanges. AC actuates changes in the reference set point. When steady state is reached, delta P2 and delta omega will be 0. As seen in the case of isolated system, the integral controller will bring back to the frequency to the nominal value. The gain of the integral controller should be high enough to cause instability. We will see the block diagram of AGC for a two area system. Yeah, this is the block diagram for the AGC for two area system, which shows the two areas connected. The unit of AC is in megawatt only. The unit normally used for expressing the frequency bias factor B is megawatt per 0.1 hertz. Means usually for how many megawatt for 0.1 hertz, like that it is used. The supplementary ACE controller is applied only to the selected units in the area. So this figure is nothing but the block diagram. Same you are knowing this turbine model, regular and turbine model, your generation plus load, or all the control actions, everything is there with the B2 R2 with the tie line control, everything is given here. Okay, so governor model, everything is here. Okay, turbine governor, everything is given. So this figure you are knowing. So this is what the block diagram for the AGC for a two area system. Now we'll go for the choice of bias factors. So ACE signals in a general form is given by ACE1 is equal to K1 delta P12 plus B1 delta omega equal to 0, and ACE2 is equal to K2 delta P21 plus B2 delta omega is equal to 0. From the steady state performance viewpoint, the choice of B1 and B2 is not important, because under steady state it will result delta P12 and delta omega 0 for all non-zero values of K1, K2, B1, B2. However, the choice will affect the dynamic performance. Assume that we have a sudden change of delta PL1 in area 1. The frequency deviation is given by delta omega is equal to minus PL1 by beta 1 plus beta 2, and delta P12 is equal to minus PL1 beta 2 divided by beta 1 plus beta 2. Substituting this one in the previous equations, that is K1 is equal to K2 equal to 1 and B1 is equal to beta 1 and B2 is equal to beta 2. So ACE1 is equal to equation delta PL1 into beta 1 plus beta 2 divided by beta 1 plus beta 2, that is same as delta PL1, because both numerator and denominators are same. And ACE2 is nothing but we will get delta PL1 into minus beta 2 plus beta 2 divided by beta 1 plus beta 2. Anyhow numerator will become 0, so obviously ACE2 value become 0. So thus only the supplementary control in area 1 will change the load reference point to meet the load change in area 1. The supplementary control of area 2 will not be affected. That's why it is clearly known that it is 0. Okay, now when bias factors are chosen greater than the corresponding frequency bias factor, area 2 will pick up generation to correct the frequency deviation. However, this would be baked off in the steady state. A very high value would cause controller instability. If we choose a bias factor much less than the beta, then the supplementary control of the area 2 will back off the generation picked up by the primary control. This would be detrimental for the frequency recovery. So under the normal conditions, if each area has enough generation capacity, the action of AGC in the steady state is confined only to the area where generation load change occurs. Tie-line interchanges are maintained at scheduled levels and frequency is maintained constant. Under abnormal condition, if enough reserve is not available on AGC, other areas generation level to meet the generation load mismatch, the frequency regulation is the frequency and interchange will deviate the scheduled pre-disturbance value. Participation of each area in the frequency regulation is proportional to its availability of the regulating capacity. So alternating equation is given by ACI is equal to Ti minus TSI minus 10Bi into Fi minus FSI, where ACI is the area control error of the area I, Ti is the net actual tie line interchange from the area I. To compute this, tie line flow out of area is taken to be positive and tie line flow in area is taken to be negative. TSI is the scheduled tie line interchange of the area I. Bi is the area of frequency bias with megawatt per 0.1 hertz. Multiplying by 10 gives the megawatt per hertz. Okay. Fi is the actual frequency in the area I in hertz. FSI is the scheduled frequency in the area I in hertz. Okay. So the scheduled frequency is the same for all interconnected areas. Therefore, all areas ACs are 0. It means that the frequency of the system is equal to scheduled frequency and all tie line interchanges at that scheduled value. Okay, so this is regarding the choice of bias factor and the tie line bias control. Okay, that is also called as frequency bias tie line control. In the next class, we will see one problem on this. If you find any difficulties, you can ask me once you go through this theory part. Okay, thank you.